All right. We have a great question here from Mr. Gemini Athlete MMA, and he is asking essentially what to look for in a major market high, of which we could be looking at one right here. But I would say that's not necessarily confirmed just yet. We do have the etchings of it, but again, needs a little more work before it becomes super actionable. Now, I'll bring you back to the last time we had something very obvious like this here. And the most important thing, the one thing to rule them all is, as always, trend. The most simplistic thing, but for whatever reason, people always want to discount it. Anyways, in my opinion, they discount it to their dismay. Looking at it right on over here, what do we have? Okay, so this was obviously an uptrend pretty much the whole way through until what point? Well, where is our higher lows? Coming in right here at 55,500. And the second that it took out that area to the downside on this first major meltdown move, it is time to now be a little more on guard. Obviously, it puts in its next lower low right here. And then what happens after that? Then it is time to be on lower high watch. And we obviously get that right here. Where does that lower high come in around? Well, in this case, I do like to use Fibonacci retracements from the high to the low of that prior move. And typically you will see those lower highs come in somewhere around the 618 Fibonacci retracement right there. Also, as far as momentum oscillators go, we do see daily bearish divergence, many drives coming off the highs right there. And even the daily jewel was turning down as well and giving a full on bearish signature. So let's compare that with what we're looking at right now here too. Okay, so where's our last higher low before our current one, which is a lower low? It'd be right here. So we already have lower lows, right? So now it is time to be on lower high watch. Now, as you'll see, it does take some time. It does take some time. In this case, the low was put in about the third week of April, around April 23rd to 24th. And then the next lower high was put in on May 10th to May 11th. So about 3 weeks between those 2 points. And right now we're just getting our first lower low right here. So it is time to be on lower high watch. And if we do get a lower high, where would you kind of expect it to be around? Somewhere around the 618 Fibonacci retracement, which is just around 65,000 bucks or so, which is also in line with this lower high, right? Or sorry, with this spike high right here. I wouldn't necessarily call this a lower high. It doesn't. It would be on a 12-hour, but not on a daily. And we're specifically talking about a daily right here, which I do believe represents the greater trend for Bitcoin in this case. So can this take some time before we see this next bouncy bounce? Assuming that we do get a bouncy bounce right around here, probably yes. But assuming that the bounce, or not assuming, but if the bounce just fails to reclaim this area over here, let's say within the next 3 to 4 weeks, kind of running off those same sort of time frame schedules, well, I will turn very, very bearish on this asset. And when I say very bearish on this asset, I just mean for the daily. I wouldn't necessarily call a macro reversal here just yet. But next sort of targets to the downside on a continuation drive would be about 54,000 bucks. Do I think that things would stop there? Very likely a bounce there. Maybe a potential major low, definitely possible. And then below there, I'd be looking somewhere around about 48 to 50,000 bucks. Actually, I know that people will say that your last major high over here should be your next major low. I get that. I'm definitely aware of that sort of mentality, but on a spike low, I'd probably be looking somewhere right around here and then close back above like 51 or 52, something like that. That would look like a major macro low in this case. Until that happens though, for right now, I do think it's a lot more likely to bounce right here. And then we get to play the game over the next few weeks. Does it actually reclaim 65 or not? If it does, hey, full bull ahead. We can talk about plan B targets yet again. And I guess it would still make sense. But until then, it would be a little more on edge, no doubt about that, as we do have potentially a major reversal staring us in front of our very faces. So hopefully that was helpful. And there you go for, that question.